Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal's space program, where we are currently bringing in our very janky proton here. Now this is intended to be a delivery of the Nauka module, which would be in this spot, but we're just doing this as like a resupply mission sort of thing because we've accidentally already put the Nauka module up. So we're just on our way in. Looks like we're heading broadly towards the Russian side of the station, which is correct. So let's head. It feels like we might actually need to rotate a bit. This is feeling like it's not rotating at all. I am attempting to tell it to rotate here. Boy, that's going slow. Okay. We could throttle up a little bit. Yeah, we have very little rotation ability here. Now, I'm not shocked about that necessarily. What I'm trying to do is get us turned a little bit here. So I guess we'll just head over to relative velocity minus. This definitely felt like we had more control previously. What's going on here? It definitely felt like we had more control than this. Okay, well, we need to figure out where exactly we are trying to dock, right? And we don't want to collide with anything necessarily. It's going to be awkward without RCS, but that is fine. I want to dock here, to this module. So that Clampetron docking port junior right there. And to be honest, the way that we're going to do this is simply by hopping over to the station, and we're going to do this the really awkward way, right? So we're going to grab this docking port here. We're going to control from here. I'm going to... Boy, this frame rate is not great even after a reset. I'm going to grab this guy, set as target, and we're going to then point at target is the idea. So we want to do target, point at target. Okay, so the station is going to start turning. I would normally not turn the station, and I'd just maneuver us. But it's going to be mildly problematic, right? So we're going to need to do a little bit of velocity alteration. We need to keep in mind that we can't really change our velocity, right? Once we get started here. Or rather, once we get turned around. That's the awkward part. So we're just kind of on our way in for the moment. I'm going to put this on kill rot. And this reaction wheel that we have here is not very effective. I did intend to have RCS on here, but I just kind of completely forgot to include the RCS. But what we need to do is we need to position somewhere up here and do a quick corrective burn, I think. Also, what we should probably do is bring ourselves down to just no relative velocity and let this continue to turn. So we're going to do exactly that. I want to put this on relative velocity minus here. And we'll get started rotating over that way. I honestly think that the problem with our rotation that we're having right now is frame rate related. Because we definitely didn't have this much trouble controlling previously. So that's very interesting. Very interesting indeed. I might actually try another game restart. Because this is still not a great frame rate. It's not as bad as it was, but it's not great. And if we can get better control here... Oh, wait. Our SAS isn't off. We've got Smart ASS here. Okay, so I just want to angle us up and over here, right now. But this is definitely a very awkward vehicle. No doubt about that. The station is still turning into location here, and we can see we are turning just incredibly slowly. So I just want to very cautiously push this node. Ooh, we're a little off on that. Okay, now we need to get this thing turning again. We've got a lot of weight in our fuel. As this fuel gets burnt out, that would be a useful thing. We probably, honestly, are going to want to dump a bunch of this fuel into the station. That's a big part of the reason why we're not able to turn here. And to be clear, this thing is designed to not have this at this stage, right? So there are problems with this design. Absolutely there are. The station is turning into position here, and we're just attempting to bring this over to relative velocity minus. I'm going to quick save here just in case anything goes horribly wrong, and I'm going to physics warp here because we clearly need a little bit more speed here. This is why I don't like to physics warp near the station. Okay. So the station is largely in position now. And we're largely in position to get rid of our momentum. That's exactly what I want to do. Okay, so we're at 0.0 approximately, and I want to face target at this point. So we're going to physics warp here, and this is going to cause the station to move a little bit. That is understood. The station should be broadly okay as long as we get that under control before we arrive. But a physics warp to get this turned around is a very big deal, no doubt about that. Frame rate is even worse while physics warping, which is not surprising at all. But all we have to do is get this docked up, and then we just leave. That's the whole thing. Is that min-miss right there? Or is that a spot on my screen? It's a spot on my screen. Never mind. I clearly need to clean my monitor. Okay, we'll get there. That is a thing that we can do. That is not min-miss. You can't even see that. Fantastic. So this is, of course, Moon, and we're just going to get lined up here. The station will stop wiggling around once we exit physics warp and enter time warp. So that's the idea here, but we can't alter our velocity once we get started here. Well, we can, but we'd have to alter the velocity of the space station, which would, of course, be very awkward. In fact, this is generally going to be very awkward. So I'm going to come out of physics warp at this time. I'm going to enter time warp to freeze physics up here. Okay, and now we're going to head in towards the station. So we're just going to head in at a fairly low rate here, and we can see that we need to adjust our target velocity. So I'm going to attempt to do that by bringing this slightly down. Boy, this thing is non-responsive. It was intended to use RCS for this, to be clear, and to have considerably less weight. Problems ensued, but we'll just bring this guy right on down to about here. Okay, that's definitely not perfect. Let's get this aligned back to target plus. Let's hop over to the station. I'm going to turn RCS on here. This is going to get kind of wild. Okay, we need to bring it out this direction. So we're just mildly altering the trajectory of the station to match the vehicle. And I want to turn that RCS back off. No more RCS burn, please. Thank you. And point at target. Thank you very much. And we're going to physics warp here as we get this turn done. Yeah, that causes a bunch of wiggling. We are aware that that's going to happen. Okay, so we're back in position now. Let's hop back over to the station and make a small RCS correction here. To be clear, this is not how anything is supposed to work. But we can still make this work. Okay, we'll just position it about there. Cool. It's not quite perfect, but it'll do. Let's change our rotation here. That'll take a while to get going. Okay, so I'm going to stop changing the rotation, and hopefully it stops at about the right rotation here to match up with the rest of these solar panels. Yeah, that looks reasonable. I don't think it even overshot. That was about right. Okay, cool. So at this point, I'm going to warp in a little bit closer. And we'll keep an eye on this situation. Okay, exiting warp. Hopping over to station. And mildly altering our RCS here. Something about like that. It's not perfect. That's for sure. But let's just see if we can get this docked up. I'm hoping from here docking forces will take it. We're very, very close here, and this is an awkward way to do things, no doubt about it, but this has severe design flaws. And for now, that's fine. Yeah, we're just straight up docked up. I love it. So that is excellent. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to empty this guy into the station. We do not need all of this fuel. Although, first things first, I'm going to refuel this from here. Okay, so let's get that heading on in. And then anything left in here will get fueled up in the station, including in some of these areas where there probably shouldn't be fuel, like here. But that is actually full of fuel already. So we can remove, or rather we can bring fuel in here. No, hang on. Not from here. Okay. Now we can do this. Cool. So we're just moving all of this fuel in. The frame rate is still not great, but we're not going to be here for long. We're just transferring our supplies to the station right now. So that'll be absolutely fine. Checking in on this fuel tank. Are you going to open? There we go. Okay. So we'll move this fuel in here. We can also potentially move it up here. Are you going to open? There we go. Okay. So now we can do this, and that'll be the last of our supplies transferring over. And since we don't have any monoprop usage here, we may as well move our monoprop as well. So let's just get rid of any of that. And where are our monoprop tanks on this station? I mean, they're kind of scattered all over, aren't there? Are there any decently sized monoprop tanks? There's this one. That's mostly full, but we can definitely move a few units of monoprop into it. So that would be from here. You gonna move? Apparently not. Okay. I don't know why this monoprop won't move. But sure, I guess we'll pin open a couple of units of monoprop like down over here or something. This frame rate is actually really hard to work with. This is not normal that this frame rate is like this after a restart. But like I said, we're not going to be here for long. This monoprop really doesn't want to move. Okay, I guess we can't move the monoprop. I have no idea why, but it doesn't really matter. So that is reasonably fine. We're not going to move the monoprop then. This is, of course, done. So we can jettison this guy by decoupling this, if we can select it. Which apparently we can't do. Okay. Well, I guess we'll do it this way. So I'm going to undock us, if we can select this. That's the wrong Clampatron docking port junior to undock, as is this. Hang on. We can't undock either of these? One of these should be undockable. We may need to reload the game here. This is having issues. Okay, let me quick save here, and I'm going to restart the game. I'll be back in just a moment. Okay, so here we are with the game restarted, and it's definitely running a little bit better. So I'm hoping that now we can actually remove this monoprop. That would be really nice. Let's hop over here, and we'll see if this actually works now. Yeah, it does. Okay, so after a game restart, we can now remove this monoprop. That is a good thing, and this is going to fill up reasonably quickly. So we're going to need to find another monoprop tank to drain this into, but we can definitely get a decent resupply going on here. So this is a monoprop tank. Yeah, we can definitely do this here. Beautiful. No problem whatsoever. So at this point, things should be actually working, and that is a good thing, of course. So that is all of our supplies dropped off. We've still got this fuel here, but we want to keep that around for our deorbit burn. The question is how much of this is actually going to survive re-entry? We'll find out. So at this point, yeah, we can now undock here. Perfect. So that was literally just a game restart. Cool. But that is our resupply completed. And we're going to go into orbital retrograde here, although retrograde is really, really close. Okay, so we're still very slow on our turning, no doubt about that. All we've got in here is this single tiny little little reaction wheel, right? So that is absolutely fine. This is not necessarily ideal. And we could, I suppose, just time warp until we're clear here. We should have enough momentum to become clear eventually. So if we were to time warp here, we'd just go something like this, right? Now, we're really far off on whether we are facing retrograde or not, but what we can do is we can burn this direction, and that'll give us gimbaling, and we're going to turn off up here. Oh, right. I should have thought of this. So we don't have any fuel here, and we're blocked here. We can't get rid of this. So it's actually a good thing that I didn't decouple this. We're fine. We can actually still manage this. We can pin this open and move this fuel in here. But this is that fuel flow issue. But I guess this will give us an opportunity to get turned into position here. So that seems reasonably fine. We're just moving this fuel on down. We do have a lot less fuel now, so we do turn faster. That is a good thing. But I do want to be able to put us into a proper retrograde position here. So I'm going to throttle us up, and now that we have some actual fuel, that looks good. How much delta V do we have in here? I don't know. It's not a lot. Okay, so we're now turning, and we have at least some speed away from the station here. So that is a good thing. I'm going to go into time warp as soon as we get into position here, in order to stop that turn. And now we're going to start our retrograde burn. So we're just going to bring this down to something along the lines of... Actually, let's bring this to minus 60 and see how it goes. That'll be interesting. Looks like we've got plenty of delta V to make that happen. Absolutely no problem whatsoever there. And we are getting good distance away from the station. This will be a much faster deorbit than our Falcon 9, so that seems absolutely great. But yeah, we'll just take this down to about negative 60, and then we can start jettisoning parts here. So that's 30 kilometers, 10, 0 kilometers, negative 20, negative 30, negative 40, negative... Oh, we're unloading the station right now. And there's negative 60. Beautiful. Okay, so we've still got 700 meters per second here. Absolutely great. And let's ditch this stage. We no longer need it. There we go. This engine was, of course, never going to actually fire. Why did we stick with this stage? There's no control here. What? Okay, I don't know why we did that. We want this stage. And we want to head over to, I mean, really we want to be at like surface up. We can turn much faster now that our weight is significantly better. We got rid of all that fuel and we got rid of all of this mass. So we can turn much, much better. That seems good. And once we arrive here, we are of course going to ditch this section in a completely different direction. Get out of here. Beautiful. Once again, we're following the wrong section here. I don't know why that's happening, but whatever. This is the one we want to attempt to recover. We'll see how that goes, and we'll just align ourselves here. Looks good, and we'll begin to warp on down. Okay, let's go. So those two bits should burn up in the atmosphere, and we'll see if this survives or not. It actually probably will. Most likely. So this is just returning our pressurized section, and that'll be absolutely fine. Looks like a land landing. And we'll just rotate ourselves back around using our reaction wheel, which is plenty powerful now that we're down to just this. But overall, this has been a very awkward flight. Good thing we don't have to do it again. The next one is going to be Soyuz, I believe. I think there'll be a couple of Soyuz flights next, like 3 of them. Yes. So we're going to be launching the MLM Prishal and a second MLM part. Okay. Noted. That's absolutely fine. We'll look into those at another time. Ah, there we go. We're seeing some of this burning up. That is good. And we are, of course, starting to decelerate here as we come on down. I don't know if we survive this or not. We don't really need to survive it. It doesn't matter either way, but it would be interesting to. We're slowing down, but it's not tremendously quickly. We might not survive this. There might be a little too much mass concentration here. Now it's slowing down reasonably quickly. No, I think we're going to be okay here. Yeah, our vertical speed is dropping reasonably quickly. I think we're fine. We're down to 1,600 meters per second. It's okay. No problem whatsoever. Yeah, we've got a lot of G-forces as we come in. No doubt about that, but this is fine. No problem whatsoever. We're going to have our drogues out shortly. Okay, drogues out. And soon enough, mains. It took a little bit for the mains to become available there, but we'll just physics warp our way on down to the ground. I don't know how we're going to do on mass with these parachutes, but it should be okay. At the very least, or at the very worst, we'll probably lose our heat shield, which isn't a big deal. To be honest, we don't need to recover this, but it's a nice little secondary objective. We'll see what happens with that. And that was it was a very awkward mission, but it was also a very successful resupply mission. We got there, we got the supplies there, we got the supplies unloaded. Only a million things went wrong, but we got there in the end. So that is what matters. Moving at about 7 meters per second, we might lose the heat shield here, depending on how things go, but I think odds are pretty good that we don't. We should be reasonably okay here to... I don't think we're going to lose the hitchhiker storage container. Yeah, we don't even lose the heat shield. All looks good. We'll recover that, and we'll get our payment. And then it's about time to put a cut in here, which feels really, really early, but it actually isn't. Mostly because things were very awkward to get that set up. No doubt about that. But we got the resupplies in there, and that is all great. We're going to have to do a couple of Soyuz launches, but we'll get those started next episode. I'm not sure exactly what those MLMs are. Means of attachment of large payloads? MLM outfitting for the Nauka. Oh, okay. I think I see what we've got going on there. We are going to need to do some of those, but we did get those parts recovered. That's absolutely great. We need to get our payment. Not like this payment is going to stick around, but we need to get the payment, and that'll be absolutely phenomenal. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and put that cut in here, and next episode, we're going to get some Soyuzes launched, and we're going to attach those MLMs. I'm not entirely sure how we're going to pull that off just yet, but honestly, we probably have some relatively simple ways to do it. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Shadow Wolf, Kintogan, Ali Lee, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Soccerman12 UK, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.